On this episode of Rock School Proprietor Podcast, Mandy and I are talking about mistakes that we've made in our businesses. From marketing to pricing to program offerings, we're talking about all of these mistakes that we've made, but more importantly, what we've learned to do from making those mistakes. Hopefully you can gain some insight from ours so you don't make the same mistakes. Welcome to the Rock School Proprietor Podcast. My name's John Kazicki, and joining me once again, co-host Mandy York. How are you, Mandy?
Good. How's it going, Jen?
Doing good. We're going to talk about mistakes today, right?
Yep.
I've never made a mistake.
I know. Preparing for this, I was like, gosh, where can I find any mistakes?
Well, it's one of those things that, when I'm teaching, and whether that's with students or with my staff, I try and remind everyone, make mistakes, even with my kids at home, I have this thing where my wife and I say, well, we want them to make all these mistakes as soon as possible when the stakes are lower, right? So,
yeah.
But learning from mistakes, it's huge. It should be huge with what we do in our businesses. And with your business with the toddlers, there aren't any mistakes. No one labels mistakes, right?
Right. Well, in my classes, actually, one of my kind of opening spiels when I talk to the parents about what we do, how we do it, I tell my parents to make big mistakes, because they're all nervous about participation. And like I've said lots of times before, participation is important. And I said, you can't teach the kids to sing out of tune. Sing out of tune, have fun, make big mistakes, make them loudly.
Yeah.
What you're going to do is you're going to show the kids that music is for them. Don't shy away from it.
Right. And
have
I think
fun.
In those different developmental stages with really young kids, I've seen it with parents. I've done it myself where we purposely make mistakes in front of kids to get that reaction so that they see oh, that's funny. You made a mistake. That's not how it's supposed to go. Right. And so we do this with young kids. And then, it's kind of a common theme that we talk about on this podcast, but at some point in kids' development, they start getting self-conscious about the mistakes. Yeah. Oh, I don't want to, it's like a weakness, right? But the fact remains, it's we learn from our mistakes. So, it's important to make them. Yeah, we don't want to do it all the time, but if we make them, that's one of the ways that we learn.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about mistakes. We're going to talk about mistakes that we've made in our music lesson businesses and how we've learned from them and what we've done to change our businesses from those mistakes. So I've got a few. I think why don't I do one and then you can share one?
Perfect. Yeah,
okay.
Let's do it.
All right. My first mistake that I'm going to share, I think I mentioned to you earlier, I was hoping to have a story to go along with these, but they're not really stories. They're just kind of things that have evolved over time. This one's kind of rock school specific. So when I opened my first lesson studio, this was 2009. And even before that, in contemplating what I wanted to do with my business, I wanted to focus on the interaction with kids. I wanted to focus on the rock school aspect of things, playing music together. But I didn't fully offer that full rock band program with my first lesson studio. And I think one of the problems I had was figuring out how to sell it. And again, 2009 was a slightly different time for rock schools. It seems like there's a lot more of them now as we're having this conversation. But back then it was kind of a newer thing. But people were still used to private music lessons when it comes to guitar and drums and bass and things like that. So I think the mistake that I made was not offering that full band program, and really pushing that out. Instead, what I did was I thought about, well, I need to get some students first. So let's get them in here for private lessons. And once they're in here, then I'll convert them and convince them that this band thing is a good idea. I think the problem that I ran into then was it was actually like more work to convert them from private lessons into this newer idea of doing a band. Not because it wasn't a good idea, but it's like there's inertia, you know?
Mhm. Yeah.
When and I think for parents when they think about like their to-do lists. Oh, I got to sign my kid up for music lessons. Done, booked.
Mhm.
Going to that school that says they're a rock school. I don't know what that means, but I guess they're going to learn rock music.
Mm.
And so the kids are in a routine. They don't want to deal with change. The parents are in a routine. They're a little bit concerned with change. It created more work. And it was like this other uphill battle that I had to try and fight. And then the funny thing is though, the best success I had with doing rock bands was with summer rock band camps at that school. Again, 2009, 2010, people signed up just for the rock band, not private lessons. They signed up just for the rock band, and that's when I kind of started to realize, oh, okay, I'm doing this wrong. It's how I'm presenting it, right? I should be like giving them that opportunity right away. So that was the first mistake. That was a big mistake, and it's changed how I operate my business now. Again, this is Michigan Rock School is my second music school, so the second time around, I had that insight that I learned from the first one, and it worked way better.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that you have it you have it set up now so that when you are meeting with those prospective families, you've got your package set up. This is how we do things. This is why we do things. And as a parent, it's like you were mentioning, you check it off the list. Oh, great. This is cool. Done. We're signing up. The kids are going to have a great time. Whereas if they're already established and then you're trying to, you know, say we need something more and different,
Yeah.
that's
Mhm.
that's harder. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, like we still have at Michigan Rock School, we've got a number of students who just come here for lessons. And we've
Mhm.
got whole processes now in place for like if students start like in the middle of our band session, well, it doesn't
Mhm.
we can't integrate them into a rock band. We can't integrate them into the band program because of the timeline of things, right? But we have whether other options in place and we have strategies so that if students start in the middle of a band session, we're like, yes, let's get you in here for your private lessons. And then in 2 months, when we start the new band session, well, then we'll get you in the rock band. So that's part of the like that process always, rather than like, well, yeah, let's get you in private lessons and then we'll see what happens from there. You know?
Right. The plan is already in place. Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
That's awesome.
exactly. Yeah.
Mhm.
So what about you? What did
Sweet.
let's hear some hear a mistake that you've made.
Yeah. Well, when I was first starting out, I think probably not a terribly uncommon mistake is that I just said yes all the time, right? Yes to
Mhm.
everything and was undercharging for services. I say this is a
You are
mistake
not alone.
because
You're not alone though.
oh,
This is like
yeah.
I mean, I did it too. I would bet that like almost all music lesson providers have done
Yes.
this exact same thing.
Yes, and, I mean, that's why I bring it up because we even kind of know that we're doing it at the time, but because it's cliche, everybody tells us, "No, you have to value your service. You are, you're charging too little." But we hear it from all directions. It's kind of like your parents telling you something, and you're like, "Nah,"
Yeah.
"Nah, no, that's not right." You grow
Yeah.
up and you realize, "Oh, my parents were right. Like, I should have done."
Right.
That's
Yeah.
what it feels like. It's this cliche thing that, like, you know, don't undervalue your business, start off the right way, but we yeah, we all do it, and I'm included. I did things like well, I did my market research for programs in the area for the the children the ages that I serve, and I
Yeah.
wanted to be competitive or, maybe cheaper. But looking back, what we do is pretty unique, you
Mhm.
included. I mean, there's not a lot of early childhood music studios around me. And it's what I was comparing to wasn't exactly apples to apples, you know? I'm looking at gymnastics programs or other things that fit this age group. But and not to discredit any of those other programs, but, you know, I think my program was not less valuable than those other programs, maybe more valuable than some of those programs I was looking at. So,
Yeah.
I went in too low. And, your goal is just to get people in any way you can. So I did a lot of free trials, free classes, free demos, that kind of thing. And I I was really surprised at the number of no-shows, when you offer those
Mhm.
kind of programs, like, people
Yes.
register and they just don't
Yes.
show up. So there was that. And then when you offer something like that for free, you're bringing in this group, this demographic that maybe just signs up for anything for free, right?
Right.
Right? And maybe that's
Mhm.
not a good fit for this group. So, by charging, that was one change I made. By charging for my demos, my trial classes to get people in, attendance went up, and I was reaching more of that group of people that were serious about trying out the program and
Yes.
invested in in registering. So there was that, and then other organizations would ask me to come in and do classes. Like, "Hey, would you come do a program for us, our library, our,
Right.
community center, preschools?"
Yep.
And I jumped at all of those opportunities, and I ran around all over town doing these, right?
Mhm.
For free,
Mhm.
and which, of course, these things get your name out there and they get you exposure, but I didn't even ask for compensation, you know? I didn't
Right.
even ask. And in some cases, like a lot of cases, I wasn't getting contact information. That's
Right.
the community events, you wanna get out there, you wanna grab email addresses when you're doing that. So sometimes I would walk away having done, like, a fun program,
Mhm.
but, I gave them a postcard. That's it. I don't have their
Yeah.
contact information to follow up.
Yeah.
So that's something I changed. I started charging for those services. And, like, surprise, surprise, no one turned me down. No one saying,
Mhm.
"No, we can't afford that," right? Or "No, it's not worth it." I started charging. Great. Now it's worth my while, and I'm much better about getting contact information too. I've even increased my prices. When my tuition went up, I increased my event price for organizations that asked me to come
Yeah.
out and do things like that.
Mhm.
So it's kind of, those were like fear-based decisions. Scary starting
Right.
up your own business,
Yeah.
but and for even as bold as we are, right? Like, we started music studios, We took big risks in
Mhm.
starting a small business. And so it's interesting to kind of look at, these decisions that we've made and that they were these fear-based decisions like, "Oh, but I need them. I
Yes.
have to do this for free or they won't like me."
It's
No.
yeah, it's funny that you mentioned when you're doing your market research to determine your pricing,
Mhm.
you just said you wanted to be on par with other activities or cheaper, right? And then
Mhm.
you also mentioned these events that you do at the library for free or other community organizations. It's all related. It's all like you attract the same clientele in both those situations,
Mhm.
right? When you price things cheaper, well, you're going to attract people who are looking for things that are less expensive, right? And they're not
Yeah.
necessarily going to value what you're doing the same as someone who's paying a little bit more. And like not knocking libraries, they're a great resource, great for community activities. But again, like you get all sorts of demographics at a library for different reasons. And
Yeah.
you specifically are not able to weed those out. Like you don't have the capability because the library puts out the event and they say, "Hey, come to our event."
Mhm.
and they've got this wide range of demographics that utilize the library. Some are going to match yours. Most of them are not,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do value, you know, I'm very community minded and I like
Hmm.
doing things here in the community, you know? So
Yes.
by charging for my services, which every one of you listening should be, you are
Hmm.
valuable and what you're putting out there is valuable. I'm able to do those things for the broader community. Pay for my teachers to be able to do that, cover my expenses.
Right.
Yes, we should
Oh,
all be charging for these valuable services that we're giving.
okay. I do have a quick story. I do have a quick story that's
Oh, good.
related. Also, at my first music school, we had this big like festival one weekend a year, and as part of my involvement with the downtown business association, I was given the opportunity to set up a booth, right? And I was like, okay, well, what am I going to do? What am I going to do here? Let's do free guitar lessons. We'll do like 10-minute quick guitar lessons. So I hired two of my instructors to come work the event with me we were out there for hours. And my
Mhm,
thought process was like, okay, we're going to get all these people coming through. They're going to do like quick 10-minute guitar lessons. We're going to get their contact info. Got a huge list. And the next week I start, contacting everyone. I got nothing. I mean, probably like hundreds of email addresses and not a single person booked.
mhm. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been there. I've totally been there. Big festival here in town. I've worked before or going and setting up booths at these, children's events, free fairs, and I'll
Yeah.
set up a booth. Yeah, it's a lot of time,
Hmm.
sometimes in direct sunlight, and you're
Yeah.
just and you don't get a whole lot. It it I always like to be seen, there is that,
Yes. Yeah.
and,
There's that
then there's
exactly.
the
There's that benefit.
referral that may
Hmm.
come from it, but I feel like it is unique, this music studio business, having booths at fairs is not always very advantageous for us
Well, so
directly.
and in that setting, like I'll speak for myself in that
Mhm,
circumstance. Again, the the people who were at that festival, they were not necessarily looking for the service that I offer, right? Which
mhm.
coincidentally leads me to my next mistake. Um, so my next mistake is more of kind of a business lesson. I think this applies to all businesses, not just music lesson businesses, but I do
Mhm,
think music lesson businesses often fail to do this, which is not clearly identifying or understanding who your ideal customer is.
mhm,
So again, early days, I I much like you said, I was just like, who wants music lessons? Come get music lessons, right?
mhm,
You're just booking whatever you can. Not qualifying those leads though means, and when you book anyone, it means that the fit is not necessarily there. You don't know if it's going to be a good fit for that prospective student.
mhm,
You don't know if it's going to be a good fit on your end either. Like, is this the type of student that we're looking for? So then what happens is you've got this waiting period, right? Well, like what's going to happen here? Is the student going to have longevity, or is the student going to quit? And I think when you don't understand who you're looking for, that is taken out of your control.
mhm,
It's like much more of a gamble than it is if you figure out how to qualify your ideal customer. So my experience was what it led to is it led to more turnover. So, and when there's more turnover, what that means is that I'm then working more to book new students in that spot, right?
yeah,
My I'm working more with with my onboarding of new students. I'm working more with scheduling. I'm working more with like the administrative stuff on the back end when students quit, dealing with holes in schedules that for my employees. So all these tiny little annoying chronic problems, right?
Mhm.
Which are the things that like we don't like doing any of this stuff, right?
Mhm.
That's not the stuff that really gets us fired up about our businesses. So the more of that you have, I think the more it leads to like potential for burnout, whether that's you doing those tasks or you have admin staff or your instructors or whatever. So yeah, that was I think a big mistake that I learned from, which now I have all sorts of qualifying questions for prospective students to understand if they're the right fit and I'm hitting my, correct demographic and my ideal customer.
Mhm. Yes, I love that. Yep, I'm very impressed with, like, your onboarding process. I think you've learned your lesson
Oh,
well.
I've
You
learned
do a
it.
great job with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's a little bit of overlap too with, like, the valuing of services and charging the right price because, if relating it to what I do, speaking for myself, if the value isn't there, then it's just a time to me specifically, a time to get out of the house, and do something for 45 minutes
Mhm.
and then pack up and leave. But if that family isn't invested in the process and in, the educational piece of what we're doing, if they don't wanna be an active participant, you know,
Yeah.
then really they can bring the community down. They can
Oh, great
they're not
point.
gonna you know, they're not gonna
Yes.
probably not gonna stick around. Their children won't get the most out of it. Which is hard because this whole valuing thing, when it relates to music, we talk about the feels a lot, right?
Yeah.
Music, it gives us the
Mhm.
feels, it's emotional. And I want to give everybody music lessons,
Mhm.
right?
Right. Yeah,
And
yeah.
truly, like deep down, I feel like there isn't a child that is a poor fit for like group music and movement classes, you know?
Mhm.
I
Right.
think, there isn't a poor fit for a child, but it maybe isn't the right fit for every family. That makes
Yeah.
sense?
Yep.
Right? Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
wait,
Because
what
really
was it?
the parent is the decision maker, the parent
Mhm.
is guiding the child, so
It's never the kids. It's all I mean,
darn
I hate to say it, but
adults.
it's always the parents. It's always the parents that are the issue. Well, I shouldn't say never. It's almost never the kid. It's the parents are most of the
Yes.
time the problem, right?
And to be fair, I'm a parent.
I
I'm
am a
I'm sure
parent
I get in
also.
my kids' way in different
Yeah.
activities and things too, to be
Mhm.
fair.
Mhm.
But, yeah, valuing your services and finding those ideal clients will create good community and like you said, from a business standpoint, less of those annoying and tedious admin responsibilities.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so what about you?
Yeah.
You got another mistake you wanna
Well,
share?
yeah, so I wish that I had started hiring sooner. I wish I had done better planning and hiring sooner than when I did.
Mhm.
I started out on my own, you too,
Yes.
and my plate filled quickly. It's a great thing, and I didn't really have a plan in place. And I really didn't think I was ever gonna hire. I think I was just gonna work by
Yeah.
myself.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that, I think.
No, no. And, as I think back, it's up to the individual. In my community of Music Together directors, there are plenty, sole directors. They teach the number of classes that they want to. It's just them. They handle the admin.
Yeah.
Great. But I think I, you know, I I just want to keep growing. If the people are there, I'm going to keep offering classes. I'm going to expand my schedule. Let's go. And my plate filled.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
was
and I think
teaching
it speaks to your mission, like you just said a couple minutes ago, you want to teach this stuff to everyone.
everybody.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, and so I just classes filled, I added another class. I added another day, and, I taught music together classes for 6 days at one point,
Wow.
6 days a week, and then it was like, "Oh, okay, I really should hire." Where am I gonna find the time to do that?
Yeah.
When you've filled your plate. So, I wish I had gotten on that sooner, hiring a teacher, because I also think it would have been beneficial to grow with someone in place
Yeah.
than to kind of fill and then introduce somebody
Mhm.
new, I thinking back, I think that would have been great. Hiring an admin was the best thing ever. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's so awesome, because then it allowed me to start focusing on the clients, the teaching, because I am a teacher. Maybe not like every director and studio owner. I like to teach as much as I can, on
Mhm.
put as many classes on my plate as feels balanced to me. So when I have an admin in place, I can focus more on that teaching and the outreach, and I like to be kind of the face of the business too. So
Yeah.
I'm able to do that. And when you have a good admin, oh my goodness. I think I just have to, like, give a shout out to my admin because she's so fantastic. And,
Yeah.
we started out on our own, small business owners. You can kind of feel lonely sometimes, right? We've said before, like, it all comes down to you. You're the
Yeah.
bottom line. And having a good admin just makes it a little less lonely. They help with, like, the team atmosphere. I love that, you know, my instructors have a relationship with my admin, and she supports them as well as me. And I mean, in my case, like, I feel like I have a really creative admin, that
Mhm.
it's important that they understand your philosophy and your business, right? Because
Yeah.
when they do, like, man, you've just got that extra set of eyes and ears, and I really appreciate when she can say, "Well, why don't you do it that way?" And
Mhm.
"Oh, yes,
Right?
good
Someone
idea."
offering right, and
Yes.
that's the whole point is someone else to come in with these ideas that are going to enhance what you do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, question though. Now, this is the tricky one
Sure.
because
Mhm,
you'd mentioned, you were teaching 6 days a week at one point,
mhm,
and you're like, I need to hire someone. When am I going to find the time to hire someone?
mhm.
And clearly, that was a learning experience for you. But I guess what advice might you have? Because that's a tough one because you're so focused on this one thing, which is like, oh, I'm building my business. I'm teaching. This is great. I have more clients. I'm teaching more classes. And then all of a sudden you hit a wall,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
How do you safeguard against that if someone is still in that building process?
How do you
That's a
have the
tough one.
foresight? I know,
Yeah.
I know. I think maybe it takes a little more self-reflection, I a better planning.
Mhm.
And this is funny because my husband thinks that I'm, like, the biggest planner of all, but I probably could have used more self-reflection and planning. Like I said, I thought probably I was just gonna do this by myself. But had I really kind of visualized and thought through scenarios, or even just took a look at my metrics from semester to semester to see the pattern, right? In the beginning, I grew constantly. I should have been looking at that, right? And then finding someone. uh, For me, it's hard because, like, I would have only needed somebody, like, 1 or 2 days a week, right? It's
That
another
is
fit
hard.
thing. That's very
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah, it's hard to okay, who am I gonna hire that is gonna wants to work 1 day a week?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Gosh, that's so
hard.
hard.
Yeah.
And they're out there because I've hired them, and they're really passionate about the curriculum, and, you've got gig workers, musicians,
Right.
they're all over the place, but or, you know people with young kids that are just looking for part-time. I've had, recent college grads doing the gig working thing, but yeah, I guess I would just say, taking the time to plan out, what does this look like in 5 years, three
That's
years,
great advice. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Looking a
which
little
I
bit
think,
further out.
yeah, I think
So
someone more business-minded may have done better than I did in that regard, but
well, so that's what's funny is that mistake that you made butts up really nicely with my last mistake that I was going to
ah,
mention.
mhm,
And this is I guess it would be a productivity mistake or a kind of a management lesson, which is telling myself, oh, I can get this done really quick rather than giving it to someone else to do.
mhm,
Right. So doing these like what I think are little easy tasks
mhm,
because I'm really efficient at doing them and I can get them done quickly and effectively. And it would take me more time to explain how to do it to someone than if I just did it myself.
mhm,
This is, I mean, it's like you hear this all the time from people who run businesses, or if you read like any sort of management books or anything like that. It's delegate, 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 right? Like
mhm,
you have to think about the things that you are capable of doing and only you are capable of doing, and then all the other things you're supposed to delegate, right?
yes. Mhm,
That's the rule. But the trap, and like I subscribe to that, right? But the trap, and I still fall into this to this day, is just telling myself like, oh, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to get it done. Right? I'll just do it right now. It'll be done, and then I don't have to worry about it. Um,
Yes, yes, yes.
but but then one day I was like, man, I seem to be telling myself this a lot. And I started calculating like, okay, how much time am I spending on this little task that like I can just do quick, right?
Mhm,
And the recurrences of those tasks
yeah,
then all of a sudden add up, right? Even within the span of a day, if I tell myself that like maybe 4 times
mhm,
and each one of those tasks takes like 10 minutes, right? That's a good chunk of time. 40 minutes is a good chunk of time that I could be doing something else on, right?
yeah,
And then, right, multiply that out by like a week. If I tell myself like, oh, I can just do this real quick and it'll take me 10 minutes, and I do that like what, 10 times over the course of a week,
mhm,
it's like almost 2 hours. 2 hours of work. So, I think looking at it from hindsight, this is a trap that I fall into.
mhm,
And again, I still struggle with this. I do struggle with it myself, but I try and look at it from that perspective.
yes,
Okay,
mhm,
how many times have I said this to myself today? How many times have I said this to myself this week? It adds up.
yes,
Yeah.
mhm. Oh, I that resonates with me a lot.
Mhm.
Yes, and in life in general.
Oh my gosh, yeah, with my
Yes.
kids too.
I was gonna say my kids,
Like,
maybe my husband.
or
Yeah.
whatever, right? It's like you want
Yes.
someone to pick up like 2 socks on the floor, right?
Mhm.
It's doesn't take long to
Yeah.
pick up 2 socks.
Yep.
They're not my socks. They're someone else's socks.
And they're everywhere.
Oh, but it's the
Yes,
principle, right?
totally. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I feel like I've learned this too recently, and I would say within the last 6 to 8 months, I've gotten better at this delegating that you're talking about,
Mhm.
because I would just do it. "Oh, this system needs to be updated." It doesn't take long, but you gotta go to the website, you gotta log in, you gotta go to the right section, when otherwise you can just click forward, email your admin, done. I get weird too because we small business owners, we do everything, right?
Yeah.
We
Mhm.
clean the windows, we pay the bills,
Mhm.
that every single little piece. The windows need to be washed, right? Sprayed, wiped. Oh, I don't wanna ask her to do that. She doesn't need to clean, come on,
Right.
right? Do you do that?
Yes.
So I
Yep,
end up
I've done
wiping
that.
the windows, and then, you know but again, shout out to my great admin. She'll be like, "It needs to be done. It's not a big deal. I'll do it."
You know what, though? Let's talk about that really quick because
Yeah.
have you ever been I know I've been in a situation where I'm just like, I have had it with whatever I'm doing. I want to go clean the windows.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I want to do that task
Mhm.
because it's going to clear my head. Our employees get that way too, right?
Mhm.
So while we're
Uh,
saying like, "Oh, I don't want to make my admin clean the windows," or "I don't want to make this person clean the windows or vacuum," or whatever, they might need that break just
mm,
like we need that break.
yeah. Yeah, totally.
So give
Mhm.
it to them. Let them have the break.
Mhm.
It's all about perspective.
Yeah. And teamwork. Like I said, I love that atmosphere of having the environment, the team environment where, you're gonna clean windows this week, but I have the time or I need the break and I'm doing it next week.
Right. And if
We
wait
work
for the
together and we get the
day
stuff done.
wait for the day when you're arguing over who gets to clean the windows.
Right, yeah.
Oh, this was good. This was a good one.
Yeah.
So I think let's wrap it up.
Okay.
And I would love to hear from other music lesson business owners, other teachers. What are some mistakes that they've made? That would be
Yes.
great.
It
So,
is, it's so great to learn from other people's mistakes.
mhm.
Tell us your flaws, everybody.
Yeah, yeah, let's
Share.
hear it. Well, and I think there's a little bit of, it's like that's what therapy's for, right? It's like we talk about
Exactly.
these things that we've done so that we can get over them and we can move on and we can learn from it. So that's, I think, all
Mhm.
part of the process. So if you've made some mistakes, you want to share them with us, let us know. info@rockschoolproprietor.com. You can email us. And with that, I think we're going to wrap this one up. Thanks,
Awesome.
Mandy.
Thanks, John. That was great.
W- We'll see you next time.
Sounds good. Bye.
Are you brave enough to share your mistakes? And more importantly, what you've learned from them? Please hit us up. info@rockschoolproprietor.com is where you can do that. As always, we would love to hear from you. Show notes and transcripts for this and all episodes can be found at rockschoolproprietor.com. I'm at rock.school.proprietor on Instagram and John Kazicki on LinkedIn, also Blue Sky. Connect with me on any of those platforms. If you enjoyed the show and gained insight from our conversation, then we count that as a win. As always, all we ask in return is that you pay it forward. Please share the show with someone you think needs to hear it.